Welcome to our deep dive into the really enchanting world of Balinese gamelan music.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes music just seems to grab a hold of you and won't let go?
hmm
Well, imagine that feeling amplified like 1,000-fold.
Oh, yeah.
That's the kind of power we're talking about today.
It's not just music. It's a spiritual experience, a pathway to deep connection,
Wow.
and a window into a different way of experiencing the world completely unlike anything you've likely heard before.
Why, I'm hooked.
Good.
Let's dive in.
First, let's picture this. A group of musicians not striving to stand out, but rather to blend into a single entity.
hmm
This is the essence of gamelan.
So no rock star solos here.
Not exactly.
All right.
Instead of individual virtuosity, gamelan prioritizes unity.
Interesting.
Each musician is laser-focused on syncing with their fellow performers.
Really?
Their breaths, their movements, everything becomes synchronized to an almost unbelievable degree.
So it's not just about playing the right notes at the right time.
Right.
It's a much deeper connection, almost like a shared heartbeat.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Wow.
It's about becoming part of something larger than yourself, dissolving the boundaries between individuals, and creating a unified sound and energy.
I see.
This is actually key to gamelan's power.
Wow.
It blurs the line between performer and listener, drawing everyone present into a shared experience.
Now, I've heard about gamelan's ability to induce trance-like states, almost like a form of musical meditation.
Yeah,
How does that work?
it's all about the rhythms.
Uh-huh.
Gamelan music uses these incredibly intricate, repetitive cycles and interlocking patterns that can have a hypnotic effect.
I see.
Think of it like the feeling of getting lost in a really good drum beat, but elevated to a whole other level.
I can almost feel it happening already just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is this trance effect accidental, or is it something the musicians are intentionally trying to achieve?
It's absolutely intentional.
Right.
In many Balinese rituals, the musicians will gradually increase the music's intensity and tempo, almost like they're guiding participants on a journey towards a different state of consciousness.
So it's not just background music. It's a deliberate tool to guide spiritual experiences.
You've got it.
Okay.
And that brings us to another crucial aspect of gamelan, its role as a bridge to the divine.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting.
In Balinese culture, gamelan isn't just performed for entertainment.
Cool.
It's offered as a spiritual act.
Oh, wow.
The musicians are often viewed as conduits to a higher power. Their music an offering to the deities.
So the music itself takes on a sacred quality.
Absolutely.
I see.
And it makes the act of both playing and listening to gamelan incredibly profound.
Yeah,
Because it's a way to connect with something much larger than yourself.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm starting to understand why people describe experiencing gamelan as so transformative and unlike anything else.
Uh-huh.
But I'm curious, we've talked a lot about the spiritual and the emotional aspects of gamelan,
Yeah.
but what about the more practical side? What's it like to actually listen to this music?
Prepare to be surprised. Gamelan isn't just something you hear, it's something you feel.
Oh, really?
The deep resonance of the gongs, the shimmering tones of the metallophones, they create these powerful vibrations that resonate through your entire body.
So it's a full sensory immersion beyond just the auditory.
Imagine waves of sound washing over you,
Wow.
drawing you into the music on a physical level.
That sounds powerful.
It's an incredible experience.
Wow. I'm already starting to grasp what makes gamelan so unique.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important to understand how it compares to the Western music traditions we're more familiar with.
That's a great point.
Okay.
The contrast is actually quite striking.
Interesting.
You see, gamelan is all about unity and dissolving the ego,
Uh-huh.
while Western music often emphasizes individual expression and virtuosity.
So it's a totally different approach to music and its purpose.
Exactly.
I see.
Gamelan musicians aren't looking for their moment in the spotlight. They're focused on creating something beautiful and powerful as a collective, surrendering their individuality to become part of something bigger.
And this difference probably reveals a lot about the underlying cultural values too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gamelan reflects a worldview where community and spiritual connection are paramount.
Wow.
It's music as a bridge to something larger than ourselves.
This is also fascinating.
Mm.
But what I'm really grappling with is what makes gamelan so transformative.
Yeah.
How does it create such a profound impact on both the performers and the listeners?
I think the answer lies in a single word: surrender.
Surrender.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Okay.
How does that work in practice?
Both the musicians and the listeners have to surrender to the experience of gamelan.
I see.
The musicians surrender their individuality to become part of the unified ensemble, and the listeners surrender to the flow of the music, allowing themselves to be transported by the rhythms and the hypnotic patterns.
So it's about letting go of control, letting go of ego, and allowing yourself to be swept away by the current of the music.
Precisely.
Wow.
And it's in that surrender, that relinquishing of the individual self, that the real magic of gamelan happens.
Okay.
It dissolves boundaries, creating a sense of unity and connection that's unlike anything else.
And powerful.
It allows us to tap into something ancient, something universal, something truly special.
I'm completely captivated. This deep dive is already giving me such a profound appreciation for the complexity and the beauty of gamelan.
Good.
And it feels like we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, we've got much more to uncover.
Okay.
Gamelan is a rich tapestry of sound, spirituality, and cultural significance.
Well, I can't wait to delve deeper.
Yeah. You know, thinking about that idea of surrender, it's fascinating how it connects to the spiritual role of the musicians themselves.
Yeah.
They're not just blending into an ensemble, they're connecting with something much larger.
Oh, I definitely want to hear more about that spiritual dimension.
Yeah.
It's something I've always been curious about.
In Balinese culture, gamelan musicians are often seen as almost priestly figures.
Wow.
They're not just performing, they're making a sacred offering through their music.
I see.
It's a duty that demands intense focus and a deep sense of devotion.
So the very act of playing gamelan becomes a spiritual practice in itself.
Exactly.
It's such a powerful concept.
It is.
And I wonder, does this spiritual intention actually shape the way the music is played?
Yeah.
The sound itself?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
The emphasis on precision, repetition, and unity within gamelan reflects core Balinese spiritual values.
Interesting.
Harmony, interconnectedness, balance, these concepts are woven into every note, every rhythm.
Wow.
It's like each sound is a reflection of a larger cosmic order.
It's really starting to hit me that gamelan goes way beyond just entertainment. It's a way of life, a way of understanding the world and our place within it.
And for both the musicians and the listeners, it's a pathway to experiencing something truly transcendent. It's about recognizing that we're all connected to something much larger than ourselves, linked through the power of music and spirituality.
This idea of interconnectedness seems to be at the very core of gamelan.
Right.
We see it in how the musicians play together, how the music is linked to spirituality, and even in how it affects the audience.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And it's precisely this feeling of unity, of collective immersion, that gives gamelan its transformative power.
Okay.
The music isn't just being played at the audience, it's enveloping them, drawing them into the experience as active participants.
It's like everyone is being swept away by the same powerful current.
That's a great way to visualize it.
Wow.
And when you surrender to that current, when you let go of the need to analyze or dissect, that's when the true magic happens.
You know, it makes me wonder if we in the West, with our focus on individualism, might be missing out on something truly profound.
Yeah.
We value the solo artist, the virtuosic performance,
Yeah.
but perhaps we're overlooking the power of shared experience, of collective immersion.
Yeah. That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah.
It raises the question of what would happen if we were to apply some of these gamelan principles to our own musical traditions.
Could we unlock deeper levels of meaning and connection?
Possibly.
Could we create musical experiences that are just as transformative and spiritually enriching?
It's certainly a tantalizing possibility.
I like that.
And it really speaks to the power of music to transcend cultural boundaries and connect us on profoundly human level.
Now, we've talked a lot about the spiritual and emotional aspects of gamelan, but I'm also curious about its cultural impact.
Sure.
How does this music shape Balinese society as a whole?
Gamelan is so deeply woven into the fabric of Balinese life.
Okay.
It's not something you just hear at ceremonies or performances. It's part of everyday existence.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
played at community gatherings, family celebrations, even in rice paddies to appease the spirits and ensure a good harvest.
So it's almost like a constant presence, a soundtrack to daily life in Bali.
You could say that. And because it's so ubiquitous, it constantly reinforces those core values we've been talking about. Unity, harmony, connection to the spiritual realm.
It's amazing how music can have such a pervasive influence on a culture. It's not just entertainment. It's a powerful tool for shaping beliefs, values, even social structures.
And in the case of Gamelan, it's a tool that has helped to create a society that values collective experience and spiritual connection above all else.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening.
Good.
We've explored the spiritual depths, the emotional intensity, the cultural significance of gamelan.
Yeah.
It's clear that this music is so much more than just beautiful sounds.
It's a testament to the power of music, to transport us, to transform us, and to connect us to something much greater than ourselves.
And for those of us who might never have the chance to experience a live gamelan performance, what would you say is the most important takeaway from this deep dive?
I think the key takeaway is to remember that music can be so much more than just a passive form of entertainment. It has the potential to be a powerful spiritual practice, a pathway to deep emotional connection, and a way to experience the world in a completely new way. And perhaps by embracing some of the principles of gamelan, we can find ways to make our own musical experiences more meaningful and more transformative.
That's beautifully put.
Thank you.
All right, we're back for our final part of our deep dive into the world of gamelan music.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm really curious to hear more about the instruments
Sure.
that create this unique sound. There's something so otherworldly about it.
The instrumentation of gamelan plays a huge role in both its sonic beauty and its spiritual power.
Okay, so what can you tell me about these instruments?
Yeah.
What am I likely to hear in a typical gamelan ensemble?
Well, the heart of the ensemble lies in the metallophones.
Okay.
Think of them as tuned metal bars that are struck with mallets similar to a xylophone.
I see.
They provide the melodic and rhythmic foundation of the music.
And I imagine there are different types of metallophones, each with its own unique sound. Okay.
There are higher-pitched ones, like the gambang, known for its bright, shimmering tones, and lower-pitched ones, like the gender, which adds a deep, resonant quality.
Interesting.
Each metallophone plays a specific role within the ensemble, weaving together to create a complex and mesmerizing sonic tapestry.
So we've got this intricate interplay of metallophones creating the melody and the rhythm.
Right.
What else contributes to that signature gamelan sound?
Then you have the gongs. Those large circular metal discs that produce those deep booming tones.
Yes.
They're the ones that really seem to vibrate through your whole being, adding a powerful layer of depth and texture to the music.
Ah, yes, the gongs. They definitely make an impression.
Yeah.
I remember you talking earlier about how gamelan isn't just something you hear, it's something you feel.
Right.
And I imagine the gongs play a big role in that physical experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The deep resonance of the gongs creates physical vibrations that you can feel throughout your body. And just like the metallophones, there are different types of gongs,
Okay.
each with a unique sound and purpose.
Interesting.
Some are small handheld ones used for intricate rhythmic patterns, while others are massive hanging gongs that create those deep resonant booms that seem to echo forever.
So it's almost like the metallophones provide the shimmering, intricate details of the music.
Yeah.
And the gongs lay down this deep, resonating foundation.
Yes.
Like a sonic heartbeat underlying everything else.
That's a fantastic way to put it.
Wow.
And to add to that richness, you'll often hear drums, flutes, cymbals, and even vocalists in a gamelan ensemble,
Really?
all adding their own unique voices to the overall soundscape.
Wow. It sounds like an incredibly complex and layered sonic experience.
It is.
But with so many different instruments playing at once,
Yeah.
how do they all work together to create that signature gamelan sound?
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be easy for things to become chaotic or overwhelming.
That's where the concept of unity that we discussed earlier comes into play. Yeah. Even though each instrument has its own distinct voice and role, they're all interconnected, working together to create a unified whole.
So it's not about individual instruments standing out, but rather about them blending together seamlessly to create something greater than the sum of their parts.
Exactly.
Nice.
It's this delicate dance between sound and silence, the ebb and flow of the different instruments, that creates the mesmerizing, almost hypnotic effect of gamelan.
It's almost as if the instruments themselves are surrendering to the music.
Yeah.
Just like the musicians and the listeners.
What a beautiful way to phrase it.
Yeah.
And it's this shared surrender, this willingness to let go of individual ego and become part of something larger that truly makes gamelan such a powerful and transformative experience.
Well, I have to say, this deep dive has completely changed my perception of music.
Oh, wow.
It's shown me that music can be so much more than just entertainment.
Yeah.
It can be a spiritual practice, a form of meditation, a window into a different culture, a pathway to deep emotional connection.
I'm thrilled to hear that. Gamelan is a powerful testament to the transformative potential of music, and I hope this deep dive has inspired you to explore its beauty and depth further.
It definitely has. And for anyone listening who's feeling inspired, I highly recommend seeking out some gamelan recordings.
Yeah,
Maybe even watching videos of live performances.
definitely.
And if you ever have the opportunity to attend a live concert, don't miss it.
Yeah.
It's truly an experience unlike any other.
Experiencing gamelan firsthand is an opportunity to open your mind, your heart, and your senses to a completely different way of experiencing the world.
And on that note, we'll bring this incredible sonic adventure to a close. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the enchanting world of gamelan music. We hope you'll join us again for our next deep dive, where we'll explore another fascinating corner of the world around us.